Yep.
I think we're live. I think we're
Shanali,
live
are you
now.
recording? Are you recording?
Shanali, are you recording? It's now streaming live. We're gonna start really soon. My name is Jason. Justin is here still, but he's in Minnesota, and his internet is a little slower, so I have to fill in tonight for the intro. But I just noticed that my chair rocks back and forth. It's not a rocking chair, it's an office chair. Anyway, we have 2 days left for 2020. That means if you have a FSA flex spending account, make sure you use it before you lose it. And that's all I have to say. So let's introduce Shanali Bomick and Christian Felix for We Don't Even Know.
Woo! What a stocking stuffer, Mr. Elfman, to offer us.
Oh,
Spend
Lord.
that flex spending. Wow, Shanali.
Wow. I think that, Justin, I know you're listening right now. Jason is a pretty tough act to follow. So, Justin, you may have to amp up, your introduction next time. Both of you are the best.
I mean,
Just
but
saying.
think about it. Think about it. I agree. Let's just spend some time. Just think about vocal effects. Think about filters. Think about all the nonverbals you could infuse in turn. That was his first time, and look at everything he brought. But new year, new you. So let's think about that in 2021. Shanali, you look fantastic.
Thank you, Christian. You like my new backdrop? You inspired me to let my artwork shine. I have lots of different artwork in this apartment. This is by a fantastic graffiti artist.
Oh wow! I thought you were talking about yourself, because you're a piece of art.
But,
that's like being a piece of work. It's like being a piece of work, but you a piece of art.
So are you, Christian? Like, you have a new room back there. What is
Shanali,
happening?
believe it or not, as you know, I have flown across the country pre-holiday. I tried to beat the holiday travel.
But that makes me think maybe we should do our thing before.
Yes, we should. What are we talking about? How we thought about it?
We can't start a show. It's been a month and a half, and that's why. Ready? Here we go.
That's why. Okay.
1,
1,
2,
2,
3. We don't even know.
No, we don't. We
don't even know.
No, we don't. With
Christian Felix,
Shanali, who has no Wi-Fi.
And Justin the intern. We don't even know. Should we leave it
time?
Okay, here we go. We don't even know.
Oh, I can't wait.
We don't even know.
No, we don't. With Christian
Felix, Shanali
Bomick,
and Justin the intern, and Jason Lamb.
And Jason Lamb.
And we don't even know.
Oh,
let me just say, singing that song is always good, but I gotta say it's much better live in the Red Room. That's something that this pandemic did take away from me.
You think, Shanali?
I mean, when we do that, the whole audience sings with us live in person. And so I just assume you're at home right now singing with us. Thank you for doing that, helping us out. It's been a hard time. You guys, we made it. We're now into almost a brand new year. Wow. Do you believe it?
Brand new
2020.
Everything.
Man, I gotta
say, bring it on.
Can I just say, I've noticed that people are still coming up with best of 2020 lists. How do you come up with the best of during a time with, man, the level of hardship that we've endured? We have, and we don't want to bum you out, but we cannot ignore the fact that I think we're at 336,000 people that have passed away in our country. We are thinking of them, their families, their loved ones, their friends, all of us that have been in this together. We've got pandemic fatigue.
You do.
And now we have this resurgence. Well, this is just say I'm thankful for you, Christian. You are one of the highlights of my pandemic existence. You have brought me through this along with Jason, Justin, Jasper. That's a lot of J's going on. You know that JC. And then of course Jesus Christ comes into play. All of you, Jesus Christ, Jason
Does
Lamb,
he now? Does he now?
Justin Hall, Jasper Patch, Christian Felix, Jesus Christ. Thank all of you so much for getting me through this tough time. And Christian, now you're not as close to me as you once were. And that's what we were talking about, because you're not.
I mean, everything that you just said, Chanel, I took a bit of a risk, I gotta say. In early December, I decided to take the chance and fly across to California to stay with a close friend of ours, as you know, up here in Santa Barbara. And, I thought through it very well, and took all the protocols and safety measures that I thought I needed to. I quarantined as best as I could. I luckily got a COVID test that came back negative, but as soon as I landed, and even just kind of not even before that, like being in the airport and being on the plane and all that stuff, you really realize it's like, oh wow, like you're taking a risk. Like, what if it doesn't come back negative? What's going to happen then? So anyway, it was a little bit of drama, but luckily I made it. And to your point, with everything that's going on and the fact that we're still in a really intense period with the virus, it's hard to find things to be thankful for, but friends and just being able to be safe is one of them. But I will tell you, I'm just lucky to get on. I'm just going to
preface you being on a plane, no matter if there's a pandemic or not, there's always a story that comes with it. You listen,
I don't look for it. I don't ask it. I try to get my little upgrades when I can,
But you could make a movie, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, because you have so many stories. It always happens there.
All I'm going to say is
I would love you could do the John Candy role probably pretty well.
Chanel,
I love John Candy. I love you, Christian. I mean, that's a starring role. He's a superstar.
Is that really why you wanted me to talk about my trip? So you could say that little
wait, come on. You beat, yeah.
Anywho, I'll tell you about the fact that this last time I got on an airplane, it was from New York to Salt Lake City. It's about a 4.5, 5-hour flight. The person, I hear this huffing and puffing behind me as I'm walking onto the plane. And I look back, and it's one of them big gray dogs with like the light eyes, like the Wama Wuma, the Wama the you know what I'm talking about.
The calendar dogs. They're
there you
famous.
Go.
Those are famous dogs.
And they're huge. They're huge. So this guy's behind me. He's a pretty big, strapping, blondie, preppy looking kind of dude. And they both sit down in first class. And when I say they both sit down in first class, I look up and it was homeboy and his dog sitting in the seat. And his dog was as high as him. So his dog was sitting right here. And it was just hilarious because I'm like, that can't be. I mean, imagine if you had 5C and you came on and you saw this big ass dog sitting in your seat. How would you feel knowing that your butt was going to be where that dog's butt? Anywho,
I have never ever witnessed something like that, between when you had the dog eating your food from underneath the seat and that
was on another airplane.
And what happened? Did the stewardess?
Well, it was just funny to see all these people coming on the airplane and people just looking over and just like, how could you? Like, and everything going on, in all the masks and the gloves and this, and looking at this dog sitting in first class with no mask. Are you kidding me? Put his mask on. What the hell? I was like, are you? So anyway, the flight attendant came up and said that dog, there was like the little, and the flight attendant won, and that dog went back on the floor exactly where he belonged. And homeboy kept his mask on, and so all
that man didn't pay for that dog to sit in
He
No.
certainly did. And if he is going to sit in the seat, he better wear a mask. You know what I'm saying? So that's where that ended.
Well, I mean, I'm happy to know that the dog did not infect you with COVID-19, nor did the humans on that flight, because you never. I mean, no one. We're still learning about this.
Well,
There's a variant now that in the UK has that's more highly infectious than the variant we have, and now someone in Colorado today was discovered having it, and someone hasn't traveled anywhere. That's what he says. So
I
we
know,
have
and
this.
to your point though, like I do feel, and I have been experiencing a lot more COVID fatigue, and I think there's this expectation now that we have the vaccine that all of a sudden we're going to go back to normal. There's also been this kind of like pervading sense that it's only happening in like poor communities or like socioeconomic challenged communities and things of that nature. And just this weekend, because people are hearing that I'm in town now and in California, and so people are suggesting that we go and socialize and things. And so it's really wild to kind of still be navigating this to the extent that we have to really be taking this stuff seriously. And again, the fact that we do have a safe place, a shelter, all of these things should not be taken for granted.
No, and then
as I know
and we're not even covering the last show that we had was our election marathon.
That's insane.
Special. That's the last show we did, which was November 3rd, and we did 4 hours with a cast of brilliant guests from comedy, music, our friends in other states. And we discussed just what they did in terms of voting and how they voted. And we had fun. We had videos and dancing. But we just survived this brutal episode of which we're fortunate. But I'm just going to say we celebrated the day that we found out, which was a week later, that Joe Biden won this election. We were screaming. We were in the streets in Soho, socially distant, but you heard me yelling and screaming out loud. We have videos of that. And ever since then, although it's also talk about fatigue, Trump fatigue is real. I mean, that's a real thing. No matter how many people voted for them, I know some of those people, they have Trump fatigue. I know that. And so we have this crazy level of exhaustion that is at a point where we're all looking for ways to feel inspired, to get excited about life. People sent me I got a lot of chocolates and cookies, and I just got some mochi.
I can tell, actually. I can tell. You're feeling it. You listen, you call me John Candy, I'm gonna come for your cheeks, all right?
Oh Lord. Yeah, but I mean, I got that coming. I had that coming, right? I mean,
so now
I had that coming.
You look just great.
Hey, Christian and I have been exercising throughout this pandemic too. So we deserve a pat on our back for that. You could talk about the candy.
I might want a pat somewhere else, so speak for yourself.
Let me share. I have to share this thing with Justin, Christian, real quick. But I wanted to say, have you felt any peer pressure from friends regarding, hanging out, being around people?
Yeah, that's what I was kind of alluding to. Is just, and it's from people that I was supposed to be hearing it from. It's people that were initially taking the coronavirus as seriously as I was, but I just get the sense that some people feel like they're above getting it, or somehow like in this like special spot to where they're not exposed to things.
Right.
So anyway, that kind of is like where that was coming from.
Well, I think that a problem that we have is that for some reason, some people feel exempt from catching COVID.
Yeah.
Just saying. I just feel like there's some sort of idea that there's like a privileged space that you don't catch COVID, but that's not the way this works.
No,
So
that's what yeah, and you know that better than a lot of us, Shanali, just in terms of the kind of things that you've been doing and what you've been getting involved in, and what's
mhm.
around, what neighborhood that you're in as well. So
Yeah. So. Well, what I was going to talk about in terms of my neighborhood, I just making sure we got Justin helping us out here. We got to get our YouTube feed going. We got our Facebook Live feed. We got 2 feeds going. This is the first time for a regular show to be done like this. So thank you all for joining us. We got 2 amazing guests today. And what I was going to say in relation to what Christian was sharing is that one of the things that's actually really been comforting for me is my neighborhood. I live downtown in New York, and one of the things I do is walk to the river almost every day, stand in the sunlight, look at the water, look at the Brooklyn Bridge. It's comforting. There's something about nature, seeing seagulls. I'm blown away by seagulls now. I never was before, but now I am. But
what is the most amazing thing about seagulls to you, Shanali?
that they seem so happy during a pandemic. I told you that one was screaming at me the other day. I did tell you that. We did discuss this.
A seagull is screaming at you probably because it is hungry, looking at you like bait, and you think it was joyful.
No, it didn't attack me. I will not project that energy onto that seagull. Bless those seagulls. But what I was going to get to is that in addition to the urban wildlife being comforting to me, we have human beings that have been working in my neighborhood that are being activists and that have been working together. I found this group on Facebook. They're called Friends of Fidei, and I was so excited to join this group of people that are advocates for the people experiencing homelessness that are living in our neighborhood. And due to this pandemic, they've been spread around the city because the shelters are not able to really take care or secure the safety of these humans in a space with tight quarters. So in that time, I stumbled upon this guest that we're about to introduce, and then I saw all the work that he had been doing throughout this pandemic as an advocate for all these people that are experiencing homelessness during this time. It's such a inspiring amount of work that I've witnessed him do, and we'll talk more to him.
Shanali is hello?
Yes, Shanali, I believe, froze, and I think that our guest is waiting to get in, but perhaps we should see if Shanali comes back to us first, Jason, and perhaps you can message him in the waiting room.
Not sure how to do that.
Okay, then I think perhaps we are going to wait and yeah, just continue to talk. Perhaps so that flex spending, were you able to spend it, Jason?
I have $700 in my flex spending that I have to spend in 2 days. So I'm probably gonna buy oh, Shanali's back. All right.
I'm back. Guys, I'm back.
And I believe that I believe the homeless hero is coming in, Shanali.
Oh yeah, I'm ready. I'm excited.
Audio right now.
Yeah.
I believe he's connected to audio. Let's see if he. Shams, are you there?
Yeah. Do you see me?
We see you, Shanali.
Okay.
There he is.
Shams. Yes. Hi, Shams.
I hear you right now.
Oh yeah, there we are. Good to see you. And I see Shams, and I see Jason, and I see Christian.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there we go. Hi, Shams. Uh-oh. Got clicked off.
All right, Shanali's back.
I'm back.
We're troubleshooting.
Yep. Sorry, guys. Something happened. Spectrum really messed with me. So
Yeah, I mean, you guys are in the same neighborhood too, right?
yeah. Oh no, I think he's
So-
uptown.
Oh,
Who,
he's
me?
uptown.
Hey,
Can y'all hear
Shams.
me?
Yeah.
Now we can hear you,
doing?
Shams.
All right.
Yeah.
Good, my friend. How are you?
How's everything? I'm okay. I'm okay.
Good.
Yeah,
We're
man.
so excited.
Happy holidays.
Yeah. Same to you.
Yeah. Hey,
Happy Kwanzaa.
happy
Happy
Kwanzaa.
Kwanzaa.
They don't
Ujima?
have.
No.
I've been trying to get Kwanzaa stamps at the post office. They don't have them anymore. Out.
Oh wow. Wow. Yeah, I'm hoping one of the residents fill out some paperwork, but we're good.
Oh, well, thank
Well,
you for
good.
joining us. I know you're busy, man. You're always helping, which is amazing. I just had to say, off the top, I want to thank you for all that you do, because your work is infectious. What you do on a daily basis, you have so much energy and you do so much. It's inspiring to all of us. So thank you.
Well, thank you all for being in tune and also, being attentive to not just me, but to the causes that basically affect all of us,
That's right.
You were talking earlier about the year and how crazy the year's been. And my son and I, as we get to the close of this year, we were talking about the same thing. And he was pointing out, I was pointing out to him how last year, 2019 at the close, because I usually do my planning in the ending months. So as we got closer, I was like, oh yeah, 2020 is going to be my year. Oh, watch, I got 2020 vision right now. Oh, I'm going to conquer the world. And I started off to a good start. Then COVID.
Yep.
Yeah, that turned everything around.
It turned it around.
Yeah.
Everybody's
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it turned it around in respect to just the the job situation, just shutting down, just various things that you kind of were having to survive on, and that was stabilizing you. Is that what you're meaning?
Well, everything. I mean, if you read briefly on my bio, that I'm a screenwriter, filmmaker, and writer. So, despite being homeless, and in a shelter, I still was heading to Starbucks, and working on my series Bible and doing all of the business stuff that, I'm passionate about. But then COVID hit. Starbucks is closed. Those places that we normally go to, the library's like a refuge. That's like probably my first home, and with these things are closed. So it was like, wait a minute, I can't even, do that. Then, the entertainment industry is shut down. So the calls that I was basically making in the business that I was dealing with shut down. Forget about it. Nobody's thinking about that. And then, being in the shelter system, in a congregate shelter, our reality was exacerbated by the fact that we didn't really have the ability to social distance. And the policies are so inhumane in how we're treated that we're like at the last of the totem pole. And so, period, before COVID, the policies are just dehumanizing. So can you imagine when we're watching the TV, we can't social distance, fear is gripping the entire place. I'm talking about some of us are really rough guys and we don't fear anything, but the reality of, wait a minute, I could die just because I don't have a place to go. Like I don't have any control. I can't protect myself. And when the news is saying that the way to protect yourself is through hand sanitizer and soap, but to be in an environment where there's actually no hand sanitizer.
My goodness.
There's no soap. We're like, wait a minute, the basic thing that could probably keep us a little safe, we don't even have it. This is our reality in that congregate shelter without the ability to social distance. So so that was very scary and very traumatizing, you
For
know.
sure.
If you
And
look
you
at this,
and I did see a piece on you that Chanel shared, and you ended up getting coronavirus yourself,
yeah,
right?
definitely,
And
definitely. Go
yeah,
ahead.
please go. No, I was just going to say, in term, it sounded like your case was, you know, you were hospitalized, and you know, it sounded like it got pretty severe.
Yeah, well, you know, we were talking about the what do they call it? The health disparities and how, you know, it got exposed of how Black and brown and people of color have been you know, not being able to access quality health care in the way
Yeah,
that we
disenfranchised.
should.
Absolutely.
Disenfranchised.
Yes.
There you go. So my own experience is a testament to that. First of all, and you know, well, you know, and part of this is that there was a learning curve with it. So, you know, giving the world some credit that the world didn't know what they were actually dealing with to a large extent. But with us, they kept saying that the number one criteria is basically, you know, when they check your temperature. And if you do the research, a lot of Black people were going to emergency rooms and not showing any temperature, but having the other symptoms and being sent home until it got more severe. Then by the time they got back to the hospital, it was too late. And so a
Right.
lot of our deaths came because of things like that. In
Right.
my case, it wasn't so severe. Although I had the initial symptoms, what they do initially, unless you was dying at that time, damn near dying, they sent you to a quarantine hotel, which was great. You know, yeah, I was sick and didn't, you know, it wasn't as severe as some people who had to immediately go to a hospital. But they put me there, and by the third day, that's when it got worse.
Wow.
And so my you know, I waited for quite some time for the nurses to come, but when they came, I had an oxygen tank, and as soon as they put the oxygen tank on, it was like I could just feel the life draining from my body.
Oh
And
my
so,
goodness.
you know, so so in that instant, I almost died. I mean, it's like I couldn't move, I couldn't talk, and
Wow.
and I'm looking at them and I'm saying, am I gonna die? And they're like, we can't tell you that. And I'm like, what the? I was like, give me a heads up or something, you know.
Oh
Now,
my goodness.
give me a heads up if I'm
You
going.
give me a heads up is right.
Let me pray it in quick. You know what the hell? Like, and they're like, we can't tell you that. And I'm like, well, can you take me to the hospital? No, it might get worse. Like, well, what the?
Oh, that's right. That's where
Yeah.
we're at in this
But,
city.
I mean,
for
that's
sure.
that's Shams. It's like, you can't tell me, but it's me. What are you talking? You can't tell me about me. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I'm gonna be out, tell me.
yeah. So
Yeah.
what was crazy is that so in this moment, you know, the one thing that really was like the craziest thing in the world, you know, and this is trauma, is the feeling of loneliness, which you've heard so many people talk about. I've never in my life, and you're talking to a guy that was homeless since he was 10 years old, never felt that lonely. I
Wow.
was like, yo, I'm about to, and I faced death before, but not in this extreme, but this was something different. And it was like, you know, in my mind, I kept saying, oh my God, they're gonna bury me in Potter's Field, Hart's Island, you know, or I might not make it there no time, that I'd be in one of those trucks. And
Trucks.
these
Oh my
things, I
goodness.
was like, I said, damn, you know, how did my life come to this? Like, you know, I'm homeless, this, that. I've been trying to change this. And now Hart's Island? I was like, oh my God.
Oh no.
I said, this is what a fucked up life, you know.
Oh.
I said,
Well,
Shams.
you certainly didn't end up there, and things took a different direction for you.
Yeah,
Because it seems like this new energy, that not energy, but this new kind of role that you've kind of discovered for yourself and that you're inhabiting for a lot of people, being influenced and teaching a lot of people about not only your experience, but the community of people without homes experience that seems like a more recent thing. Is that true? This activism, or is that something that you've always been a part of?
I've always been activist or advocate. You know, I've always had to advocate for myself. Growing up in foster care since the age of 2, when you're dealing with a system that makes decisions for you, and if you feel like those systems are basically, you're trying to form as a kid a belief system, a sense of identity that you would normally get in a traditional home, whether it come from your actual parents or it comes from aunts, uncles, you know, extended family. By being in a foster home, I was kind of devoid of that. So I had to find that myself. And I grew up in a time when hip hop culture, we didn't call it that, but when the elements of hip hop culture began to merge in the South Bronx. And because I immersed myself in that growing phenomenon and became a factor in it, I was able to find a sense of identity there and develop a sense of voice. I've always been actively engaged in this type of stuff, though not just attributed to the homeless cause, but in youth violence. I have a history of being one of, I don't mean to say it like that, of being a drug dealer where I sold drugs from Boston, Massachusetts to Hilton Head, South Carolina. I've been into some notable cases and notable people and stuff like that. So when I turned my life around, I went back into the same streets and I began to get people to come up out of that lifestyle. And this has been going on for many years and stuff like that. When I was in schools, I've always changed the curriculum. I was like, look, I'm into Martin Luther King, but I want to see Malcolm X up there too. I want to learn a little more about Marcus Garvey and Nat Turner, you know.
Yeah.
I've always been about this. But I want to say this, that when I was going in that instance, one of the nurses reached out and embraced my hand real gently. And when she did that, something just triggered me. I was saying to myself, it's funny how even dying, I still had this sense of humor. That's when the real sense of humor, I make jokes, I don't understand it. But I said, wait a minute, is this the embrace of death or something? Like, is she embracing me because she know like this is it? That's when I said, oh, hell no, we not doing this. Oh, no, what this shit? Pardon my language, I don't know if I can curse, but
Yeah, you can.
Oh man,
well, I did to myself.
You sound like we two peas in a pod. I do the same damn thing.
I said, oh, hell no. This is not how it's going down. And I said, idiot. I was like, you've been sitting here thinking the doctor's going to save you. You think the nurse is going to save you. You never even said a quick prayer. You never called on God. You never, So I was like, yeah, let me call God. I got to call a higher power. So I was like, these people can't do nothing. And I said, oh, Allah. Pardon me. Oh, Jesus. Oh, Buddha.
Yep.
Oh, Krishna. I just ain't want to get it wrong. So I called on every God in the book. I said, just in case I've been wrong all these years, let me get it right. So I went through a whole thing of every God I ever heard of. And I said, help me out of this one. And I guarantee you that if I overcome this, I'm going to devote my moments, my seconds to doing things that are enriching, doing things that are life-sustaining. And I decided in that moment that I'm not going to waste time. I'm not going to say I'll deal with this tomorrow and, hey, let it be and stuff like that. So from there, once I regained my strength, which was shortly after that, one part. I did that. And then I thought, as God is my witness, I said to myself, and this is funny because it's not like I was trying to be funny. It's just, this is how it went down. I said, wait a minute, hold up. Now you said the prayer. I said, but remember, faith without works is dead. So I said, I got to do something else. Then I thought a few days before that, I did a yoga class at the Recovery Center, TRC, which is Project Renewal's outpatient unit. So I said, yeah, I got to do something else. So I started breathing. 6 in, 4, whatever, 4 out, 6 in, you know. And I started that breathing. And as I started breathing, my body became more regulated, and my oxygen level, which they couldn't read at that point,
Whoa.
now came up, and you could see them saying, okay, keep doing that, keep doing that. And as I'm doing it, I can feel the life literally come back to me, my strength come back to me. And I said, oh, it's on and popping now. It's on and popping.
That's such a powerful story.
That story. I mean, all of it coming together, because somehow someone knew, and I mean, I think it was you, that you knew that you had more to do.
That's what it was.
And I can say, I can attest, now that we became friends on Facebook via this platform, this conversation about the shelter system in this city, and you have been non-stop. In fact, whenever I see you say, I need to get some rest, everybody's on board. Shams, go get some rest, because you got to recharge yourself. He's assembled with spiritual leaders and done speaking engagements to them virtually. He's talking to politicians. He's out also with the people that are also experiencing homelessness with him in the shelter system. And you have a gift of making it clear that we cannot ignore the humanity of people that are in this system. It could be anyone.
Well, Shanelle, speaking of the humanity, Shanelle, I had a question. I know I have so many questions for Shams. I'm just meeting him for the first time. My question, speaking of that humanity, you've said some things about your own life experience, about why you go to Starbucks, because you need to work and you want to be productive, about some of your goals and objectives that you have, even in the circumstance that someone yourself perhaps would perceive as extreme, as dire, as it is in the case of homelessness. And so I guess my question to you is, given your experience and all the different people that you've talked to about your experience, this community that you've been a part of for such a long time, what do you think some of the biggest misconceptions people have who haven't experienced what you have, who don't know people firsthand, who have had to rely on the various services, inadequate services as they are? What do you think the biggest misconceptions people have about people experiencing homelessness right now are?
Well, I think from my own experience that a lot of people think that the whole concept of our lives is just we're homeless. It's always got to be the sad story of, oh my God, you got to be on drugs. You got to be a criminal. You got to be a sex offender. You got to be this. You got to, no one loves you. Your parents must have, your family must hate you. That's why you're homeless. So all these different things that people perceive because they don't engage enough with somebody that's actually experiencing homelessness. Well, even me, I've had preconceived notions despite going through it. It's only until I came and I stayed in the shelter, which just happened this year for the first time, that I never lost the bed, never went back in the street, that I started to really engage with just anybody here. I tell people here, I say, I'm not really a sociable person. I don't really deal with people I don't know. I do events and stuff like that in the context of hip hop. I know how to work a room, et cetera, et cetera. But when it comes to me, I keep that private, Right. And you wouldn't think that in here. They all say, get out of here, man, because I know everybody, I deal with everybody, I embrace everybody. But there's a learning process or a learning curve for me in that experience. And this is one of the reasons why it's easier for me to do what I do, is because when I really listen to them, you have guys that are stockbrokers in here. You have guys that are IT people that command 80,000 easy in here. You have people that are simply here because I lost in a divorce. I took care of everything. I still take care of everything, but I lost in a divorce and I got to start from scratch. You have people in here who may just struggle with a substance, and everybody struggles with substance use. Not everybody, but so many people do in all walks of life. And even here on the Upper West Side, the only difference between many of us and them is that many of them, with their wealth and their privilege, they have safety nets. They're able to go to real good rehabs. They can hide their addictions and stuff like that, you know. But addiction is addiction, and so, you know, that basically targets people of all stratosphere. So the misconception is that we're one-dimensional people, that there's no backstory. It's all just homelessness. So even when I'm engaging people in the media, or when I'm just talking to people, that's one of the reasons why I had to stand up. And I had to show a different image, you know, and it doesn't mean I'm not homeless. It doesn't mean I don't struggle with my drinking. It doesn't mean I don't, you know, have a mental health issue. I got all that, you know, but I still can speak.
Right.
Still can care for somebody. I still can respect a community. You know, I still can do other things. And guess what? By even those who are with me, my peers, they're able to say, well, damn, you know, I didn't want to tell this part of my story because, you know, I don't want nobody to know me. But it's all right, because I don't see you as just being homeless. I know there's something else to you. So it doesn't hurt to express who you are. So yeah, I was in Starbucks working on my screenplay and my series Bible.
Oh, right.
I'm in the libraries reading books and learning and absorbing information, you know. And let me, if you don't mind, share one of the reasons why, getting back to the human side of this. Today I spent some time with somebody who I grew up with in hip hop. And I don't know how, you know, how far you all go back, but there's a group called the Cold Crush Brothers.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
I know.
Yeah. So the Cold Crush Brothers, of course, been all over the world. The first rap movie Wild Style features them, etc. And these are all my brothers in hip hop, but they're so much more notable than I am in the context of hip hop. Let me say something to you. Several days before the Gracie Mansion protest, which is the first protest where I spoke at, I was advocating through my writings as the homeless hero, and it wasn't intended for anyone to know who the homeless hero was, because I didn't want to get a backlash within the shelter system. So I was hiding behind that name, and definitely didn't want to be exposed. Gracie Mansion, they had asked me, Corinne Lowe from Open Hearts Initiative had asked me to speak, do one of the writings. And I was like, what? No, I'm not doing that. So I said, let me try to write something and maybe they could do it or something like that. So she was like, yeah, we can't wait till you speak. And I'm like, oh my God, I got to figure out how to tell her. Hell no, I'm not speaking publicly, you know, I'm not doing none of that. Not part of, I'm trying to make a movie and all this. I'm not doing that. That's not the story I'm telling.
Right.
And several days before the protest, coming from the recovery center, I bumped into one of the members of the Cold Crush Brothers, who's my brother, and I can use his name now. I spoke briefly on this experience, but didn't go into details. But I just saw him a few days ago, and he wants to tell his story. His name is JDL, and he's street homeless.
Wow.
He's in and out of Bellevue. When I saw him, he was sitting on a little container, and he was like, you know, telling me his experience. You know, he you know, when it gets too rough, he'll go into Bellevue, but most nights he'll stay in the streets.
Wow.
And I'm sitting there like, holy shit. I said, damn. You know, now a lot of us struggle in hip hop and stuff. You know, a lot of us don't talk about it, but seeing him like that, I was like, oh man.
Yeah.
So I walked away. I said, listen, I'm gonna come. I'm gonna get you, take you to the recovery center, get you in the detail. You know, we do, you know, try to make sure. So I didn't find him. I didn't know that he did it on his own. He went, you know, where I told him to go.
That's awesome.
But that was in September, a few days before Gracie Mansion. And still, I was still like, oh man, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. But as I walked and I saw all of these people, a diverse group of people protesting, leading from the Upper West Side to Gracie Mansion, going through Central Park, I said, damn, these people serious. Damn. Serious. I thought, and
Yes.
this ain't no Black Lives. Yeah, it's Black Lives Matter, but everybody really put the homeless in that. So I said, damn, that's pretty, wow. And when I went, I said, I've still got to find a way not to speak.
That's right.
And
wow.
as soon as I got there, I said, I kept wrestling. I said, you got to do this for JDL, man. You got to do this for all of the people who are like you guys that have real lives, but are in this situation and are getting treated like garbage, who are being told, who are being described as being not acceptable, as the mayor described us. I said, you have to do this. I said, look, there comes a time when you have to do something that is for the greater good.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to my experience in the quarantine site when I almost died.
Yeah.
I said, you have to do this for JDL. Who's speaking for him?
That's
deep.
And this pandemic, if not even if the pandemic was added onto this past 4 years of what it seems like a government that's abandoned us, a federal government that has abandoned us. And, if there's ever a moment where we know that we have to be the ones that speak, that we have to step up, that we have to look out for each other, this is that time. So that's just to say thank you, because it's absolutely what's what we have to do. That's where we're at. That's the reality that just that came to us.
Yeah.
Ramsey is about to, we have our other guest, Shams, that's about to join us. And so I wish we're going to have you back so we can have a longer conversation with you, because I know Christian and I we have so many more questions, and I'm just so happy you joined us tonight to just share that little glimmer, because what it is it's contagious. When you tell your story, it inspires other people to see something within themselves in which they can affect change. And that's what you're doing, That's
the purpose.
That's a brilliant gift to have. And it's working. It works. It's working right now. So, if you ever get stressed out, just remember you've been doing it. You're doing the work and it's affecting us. So thank you for that,
Thank you, Shams.
Thank you, Shams.
Keep up the good work. Happy holidays. I hope you and your son have a happy and healthy new year too.
All right, same to you. And we got so much more great things to accomplish. 2021 is going to be our year.
2021, and everybody out there, follow the homeless hero. He's on all social media platforms. Yeah. It's very awesome to follow him. He will help you feel good. That's what he do. Thank you, Shams. Okay.
Hey, Shams, you take care.
And I'm Christian. I'm going to try to join you guys through this computer. And I know we oh yeah, you see me?
We don't see you, but we hear you. Oh man, Shams, amazing human being, Shanali. You meet incredible people all the time, but I gotta say that was really cool to hear his experience. You're on mute and I can't see you, so I'm all alone. Not now. I'm all alone, hosting the show all by my damn self. We don't even know.
I'm coming at you. Okay, here we are.
There you are. So I think we need to invite Ramsey. We overdue.
Okay, I'm hiding. Oh, I need to turn off. You guys, sorry, guys.
Sorry, I
We've had some tech.
He's coming in.
Yay, Ramsey. I see you. Sorry that we're a little late.
Ramsey, sorry about this. And I'm trying to figure out how to get off this phone. How do you leave?
Ramsey, feel free to turn your video on. Feel free to come off mute.
Okay. Am I gone now?
You are gone, but still here.
Okay.
Ramsey Jones.
And then
We
Ramsey's
just
doing
need.
it. And
He said he's on his, he's like me. We got a lot of,
you know,
A lot
it's
of
the
tech.
here.
There
And
he is. I hear him.
Oh.
I think I hear him.
Hold
Ramsey.
on, guys. Okay. Hold
oh
on.
yeah, there he is.
Hold on. Yes. Okay. All right.
That's right. I just looked at. Oh
Hey.
Hold on, guys.
Hey.
yeah.
Oh my goodness, in a suit, or is that a cardigan?
Oh, you see me?
I see
Yeah,
you,
you
sir.
look good.
I can't even see you guys. Hold
Oh
on.
yeah,
see
slide
you.
it
I
over.
see
You
you with
slide
your-
the phone. If you switch, well, now you're gone. But
Hold on.
you-
Hold on.
you-
This is
no
this is
problem.
what happens.
I love it.
This is live, not Memorex.
You know, just like a live show. Exactly.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
let me do a formal
Oh,
introduction to Ramsey. Okay, so
yeah. My video
Ramsey.
stopped.
First of all, we just had
Oh.
Shams DaBaron.
There we
It
go.
was amazing, and now we got Ramsey Jones with us live,
Hey.
live in the studio.
Live and direct.
Live and direct. And I want the world to know that like Ramsey is another one of these people whose energy is just, it exudes this thing that you want to be a part of. And I am telling you, I saw Ramsey on a train, and I promise you, I looked at him, I was like, who? And it was him and his wife, I think, and they dressed, and I'm telling you, Ramsey's style is like no other. And you're in New York and you see that, it's to the point where you want to say something. So I literally was thinking to myself, I got to say something about his style, because when I see that, something that inspires me, I mean, it
Wow.
was like that. So I got too shy. I didn't say anything. So we all proceeded to get off the train. And before you know it, we're at the same event that night. And so I just
Whoa,
went right
what do you
up to
know?
him.
That's crazy.
Coincidence. Yeah.
I introduced myself to him. We were at an after screening party of our friends, Paloma Basu and Rob Hatch Miller. And then Ramsey and he was so kind, because I felt like a crazy person telling him I saw him on the train and now I'm following him to the club.
Well, Shanali, I mean, those instincts may be a little, there may be something there.
He was so nice to me. He was so nice. And then we laughed and we talked. And Ramsey is a musician extraordinaire, an amazing drummer, a style guru. That's what they call him.
Oh.
And we also talk music. So just, we're kindred spirits in many ways. I am not a
Yes.
dynamo drummer, but I aspire to have, as much swag, style as this gentleman. But Ramsey, thank you. You see, he's a wanted man too. He's in the studio right now.
Yeah. I'm actually
Wow.
I'm actually in the studio with my friend Gabriel Kaplan. He plays with Fred. He's the guitarist for Fred Thomas. If you don't know who Fred,
Wow.
you know Fred Thomas is, right?
Yeah, man.
Yeah. And I play with Fred Thomas too. So
I mean, Ramsey, who do you not play with? So this is so 2 weeks ago in New York City, we are obviously not going to see live bands perform in clubs. That's not happening.
Right.
It's not happening around the world, I assume, but especially in New York, that's a big deal. That's how so many of us make a living as performers.
Indeed.
Is going into, yeah, right. And theater world, everyone knows the arts in New York City, they go hand in hand. And Ramsey, though, has still been able to perform and play. I got to see him play outside 2 weeks ago with Rebelmatic, and my brain was
Really?
blown.
Where was that?
In
Right in
Brooklyn,
Bushwick.
Amazing. Amazing.
It's right. It was right near the rehearsal space that the sweatshop that I
The sweatshop.
usually go to. They
That's
were
where we
outside.
rehearse.
It was such like the New York experience where you're just outside. Everyone's sort of aware of being in the streets. When cars come, you move in, but everyone's in their space enjoying the music. And Rebelmatic, before I saw Ramsey play with them, I was a fan. You know what I mean? I was already a fan, and then I became a bigger fan. because of him. Now, Ramsey, let's talk to you. How's it going? You know, you are a New Yorker, just like Shams. You grew up here, right?
Native born, yeah. I was
Native born.
born and raised in Brownsville, East New York, which was the roughest
Right.
part of Brooklyn. You know, that's
Right.
where Murder Incorporated started.
Damn.
Yeah.
Al Capone, all of the gangsters back before that area was you know, blacks moved into that area. It was all like Italians and Jews that lived in that area.
Mm.
So
Wow.
yeah, so that's where
So,
Murder Incorporated started in Brownsville.
Do you still have
Crazy.
family there? Do you still have family?
No. My grandmother lived there, and she passed away in 2000. I would believe 2010 or 11. But
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
she lived in the projects right in front of where I grew up. Right
Okay.
on Mother
Well,
Gaston Boulevard.
And
I started going
it
to that neighborhood, and I started going to that community around that time, going to hospitals there and serving some of the children there with some theater, actually, funny enough. And I remember right around that time seeing a lot of just kind of like changes going on. Did you experience any of that, just in terms of it seemed like there were just like more improvement, not gentrification, so to speak, but just something akin to that. Did you experience any of that, or?
Oh, well, I had moved out Brownsville back in like the early way before that came around. I mean,
Wow.
I was born in 1965, so damn, I'm
Look
dating
at you.
myself.
Look at him. You don't need to.
Hey, I ain't afraid. I'm 55 years old, so I'm not afraid to like broadcast that.
And you know what? Look at you. That's the thing. You may as well, because it's like people would not believe, like, woo. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I tell people, like, growing up back in Brownsville, you know, at the time, I remember when I was 5 years old, and my father called me into the living room. I was born in a family of 6, so I was the eldest. And I had 2 brothers, which was Mark Jones and Russell Jones. Russell Jones is old dirty bastard.
Yes,
And
everybody, if you do, you know, everyone knows who Old Dirty Bastard is. But when that came together too, because I was already loving Ramsey, I'm like, are you kidding?
Yeah. My youngest brother.
I mean, that's one of the singular voices in hip hop that changed, for me, changed a lot of the way I felt about music. So anyway, and I'm certain you had a big influence on him. But anyway.
Oh yeah, definitely. But growing up at that time, it's funny because, you know, growing up at that time, you know, my parents were heavily into music and records. So my aunts all sung on my mother's side of the family. My father sung, and you know, it was like around that time in 1970. I was 5 years of age. And my father had me come in the living room and watch the news with him. And he said, son, watch this report with me. Turned out to be Jimi Hendrix's obituary. He had just passed away. And I remember vividly watching that and seeing the images of how he looked. And I was like, at that time, you know, there weren't many black performers being shown on TV. You had the Flip Wilson show. Bill Cosby was on I Spy. You know, but seeing Jimi Hendrix was a whole other experience. And I was like, wow, this guy looks interesting. So my father bought Are You Experienced? He bought the album right away after he watched the news.
Wow.
My father bought us a little GE record player.
Oh.
So I shared it with my sisters, my 3 sisters, my 2 brothers. And I remember putting on Are You Experienced in the Beatles' first album, because they had broken up by 1970. And he brought the first Meet the Beatles and Jimi Hendrix Are You Experienced. And I remember listening to Purple Haze, and I was like, whoa. I never heard anything like it. Like, and that's what made me want to be a musician. Like, those 2 artists, the Beatles and Hendrix, like, were very influential in my growth throughout the 70s and 80s. And
your dad bought those records.
He bought those records, yeah.
Because that even it adds another texture to your story, because, you know, I think about you, I think about ODB, I think about Russell, I think about RZA and Jizza, and those being your cousins.
Yeah, they were cousins on my father's side of the family.
Right? Oh, on your dad's side. So like the music that just sort of was instilled into you all, you know, throughout your family life? I mean, for me,
Did
my
you always
dad.
gravitate towards the drums, or
Yeah,
did you explore other music?
I explored other instruments, but I was also in my family. I was the only one. I was weird. I was considered weird because I listened
love the
to
weirdo.
I listened to not only Jimi Hendrix. I listened to the Beatles. I listened to Black Sabbath in the 80s when the 80s came around. In the 70s, actually in the 70s, I listened to Black Sabbath and the Clash. I was into punk and Kiss. Yeah, when Clash first came out, my mother was like, you know, you like this group? I go, yeah. She was very open-minded. So
Yes.
growing up around that time, I was exposed to so much music, and I sought it out. In the 80s, when the 80s came around, disco had gotten killed off in like at the end of 79, 80, and rap just came in. Like Sugar Hill Gang dropped their first record, the Rapper's Delight. And that record altered everything. Like overnight altered everything. I remember I was in my first year of high school, and the first semester, the first semester was in 79. And I had a friend that I had just met in my class, and he was very shy. I didn't talk to anybody. His name was Andre. And summer came in, and school was out of session. We came back in the fall. Sugar Hill Gang dropped that record during the summer. I came back in the fall semester, and the first words uttered by my friend when we met in a different class, he said, "To the hip hop, the hippity the hip." I was looking at him like, "Oh, dude!" Like his confidence just made him more like speak, and I was like, it took hip hop to do that. That's what blew me away, because he didn't talk at all before that. He didn't speak at all, but he gravitated to me because I was very quiet too. But that record, literally overnight, it changed everything overnight.
Changed everything.
You know? Yeah, you know, because Chic had good times, and then a lot of rap artists used break beats at the time, to rhyme over. So that's still how it is now. With sampling.
Right. So within your family being considered the weird one, were others listening to the music you had? Were you sharing your music?
Not really. I was sharing it, but they my brother, my younger brother, and my youngest brother my youngest brother Russell thought I was weird listening to, they called it white boy music. And RZA used to come over to my house in the 80s, and we all like grew up with each other,
Right.
So when RZA would come over to my house in Linden Plaza, because we moved from Brownsville to 760 Elders Lane, which is Linden Plaza, which was on the borderline of Howard Beach, right on Linden Boulevard, Linden Boulevard. And my cousins used to come over the house, and they would like hear me listen to the Beatles, and RZA used to tease me like, "Yo, you like the Beatles, man?" I'm like, "Dude, I love the Beatles." And then I'm playing Black Sabbath. I'm listening to Black Sabbath and the Clash. And then New Wave came out in the 80s. They had the No Wave with James Chance, I guess, and the Contortionists and groups like ESG and all that. I got into No Wave, and I was really
so cool.
Like a sponge soaking in all that music, But my cousins thought I was weird. My family thought I was weird. My friends thought I was weird. My younger brother, though, Mark, was the one that was closest to me. So he shared what I was into.
Wow.
Yeah, he shared
so
what I was into.
Were you were too young to have been in that scene where you could see bands like DNA or Television?
Exactly. Yeah, I was very young, Yeah. And I was not only I was buying, and I'm a record collector too, so I was not only like open to new wave and disco and all that, and jazz and funk, but I started collecting psychedelia. 60 psychedelic music.
Oh my
and
gosh.
That really opened, because that really like opened my mind, like to the point I was collecting everything, like groups like the Electric Prunes, 13th Floor Elevators,
I have.
Yeah.
That's
So
that's another where we connected because on IG, Ramsey would share records, and I would just like, wait, what? He likes that record or he has that
yeah,
record, and
Aphrodite's
yeah,
Child, you know.
wow. Well,
The 666 album, this
that
great.
it's
People thought I was
amazing.
weird. Yeah,
And I mean, the thing is, you've lived, and this is, talking that we're all artists and making our way through life. Being an artist is no easy feat, but you have maintained playing drums this entire, like you started at a young age, right? I
very young.
assume.
Yeah, very
Yeah,
young. Five years of
and
age.
every time I talk to him, he's playing with another project. Like everyone wants Ramsey to play with it. It's very understandable. But how do you do it? How do you, and especially during this pandemic, what have you been doing? How have you been managing?
Well, I'll tell you, the last gig I did this year before the pandemic was literally a week before quarantine. I played with my cousin Jizza at the Blue Note, and it was the second show. Yeah,
Oh,
we did 2 shows. We did one in February, and it was 2 sets that night.
wow.
The guy invited us back in March 8th. To do another show by popular demand. They promoted it that way, and both shows were sold out. So after doing that show, all my other gigs I have other cover bands. I have a ABBA cover band called Dancing Dream.
That's with the big money. That's the big
Yes,
money.
and people are shocked. They're like, "Yo, you play ABBA music?" I'm like, "Dude, I grew up on ABBA. Come on." Like,
That's the money.
yeah.
That's where it's at. I want to see that.
Money.
That kills me.
Yeah, and, I play authentically. That's why our group gets hired so much.
We said that with such joy in your
Yeah.
facial expression that
I ain't afraid. I ain't no shame. I ain't no shame in my game. I could play ABBA as well as play punk, as well as I can play funk, like Sly and the Family Stone, the Cameo, to the Beatles, to Blondie, to Devo. I do it all.
And if I get married, and when I get married, Ramsey, I hope you play at my wedding.
You gotta have the big bucks, Christian.
Exactly.
Trust me, Shanali, I know.
Ramsey, Jason, who's in my band, is my bandmate, plays bass. He just wrote, I can't believe he mentioned James Chance and the Contortionists.
Yeah.
I didn't think anyone knew about them. I happened to see them a couple of times a year or two ago. That's like deep cuts.
Yes, that's how I roll. That's how I roll. But I'm gonna tell you, I want to finish explaining like this year what happened. So that week of the second week of March, all my gigs got canceled this year. So the following week, I got sick. Sick. Yeah, I think I had symptoms of COVID. Yeah, I got sick. Yeah, my temperature went up to like 100, and I went to bed at 8 o'clock. And my son said, "Dad, you're going to bed early." I said, "I don't feel well," and I just went in the kitchen and brewed some hot water with apple cider vinegar, a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar, and honey. I drank it. My temperature broke the next day, and I felt messed up for 2 weeks. So I stayed in the house I had it. I stayed in the house for 4 months.
Oh
and
my
cousin,
God.
one of my cousins died in March from COVID. He had a heart-related issue. Yeah, he had a heart-related issue.
Oh my goodness.
But I was in the house
Because
for 4 months.
It's hitting Black people harder. It's hitting Black people. COVID overall is hitting Black people harder, as we know.
So,
wow.
And hearing Ramsey pulled through that, Shams pulled through that. Honestly, that's fantastic. Because
so your gigs have been canceled.
Yeah, all my gigs were canceled. Yeah, like all my gigs were canceled. So around, I think at the time, Chris Robb, who's an amazing musician in his own right. He played with Michelle Nicocello, a bunch of people. He came to my show. He came to my gig at the Blue Note, the second show. And he said, "Hey, bro, yo, would you be down to do a Prince tribute, Dirty Mind tribute in June?" I was like, "Yeah." So when the pandemic hit, and I stayed in the house for 4 months. Like I didn't go out at all.
Wow.
And I think around May, Chris Rob reached out to me and he said, "Hey man, you know, I'm thinking of like doing this Dirty Mind tribute. I want to do a live stream." I said, "I'm down." And it was the first time I played.
Oh.
Like I mean, it was like crazy. Like I was rusty and I felt like a Tin Man playing for the first time, you know.
I mean, that must have been like the longest break you probably had from playing.
It definitely was,
right?
It definitely was, because before that I was playing every month, every week, playing with different groups. Yeah, I did. I recorded albums with Vernon Reid. I'm on Wu-Tang albums. I did a track with Method Man on the Batman Forever soundtrack, The Riddler.
Wow.
You know, so I'm on a bunch of albums of Wu-Tang. I recorded with so many different artists and played with so many groups that I was just in demand. I would be like with 10 groups at one time.
Yeah. It's amazing.
You know,
I mean,
but that's what keeps me young.
Yes. Yep. And
that's the trick. I don't know the trick, Ramsey.
I don't know if you've always been in shape, but the man is in shape. I don't know. He's always he plays with tank top on.
You don't see my muscles. I'm strong to the finish because I eat me spinach. I'm Ramsey the drummer man.
We gotta do that commercial. That's good. We gotta use that. We're gonna edit it out. You gotta use that. That's a good commercial right there. But it's true. I mean, and that's you know, I can't help. I know some people have just metabolism rates that are just but playing drums all the time is something that definitely keep you in shape.
Yeah. And especially with my current group, Rebelmatic, when I joined them like 2 years ago, I mean, I'm like currently I play in, hold on a second, guys. There's a call coming in.
No problem. It happened to me. It just happened to me.
We lost.
Because he's on the phone.
We lost it. Oh, man.
You know what we should do?
This has been a fitting way to end our 2020 year.
Set up Rebelmatic video. And we can be
sharing let's play that right now. That's a good idea, Chanel.
Yeah. We're
gonna do the next
show.
One.
Yeah, this is Ramsey's band that just blows me away. I love it so much. Hardcore.
Hey guys, I'm back. I had to resort to my phone. Sorry about that. That's what happens. It's live. It's not Memorex.
Hey, let me tell you, I've been having issues today too. So no problem. You're sideways. Or can you turn?
Yes. I
there you go. There you go. Yeah. It was nice to share some Rebelmatic, which that is such a powerful band. I'm so happy that you're a part of it as a fan of the band.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you had a record that came out this summer on vinyl.
Yes, Ghost in the Shadows. Yes.
Ghost in the Shadows. everyone needs to get this record. We were playing it. In fact, the day that you played, my husband was like, can we play it before we go? I said, no, no, no. I can't listen to, I got the live experience. It was like he was a 13-year-old going to, a stadium show, getting ready. I was like, no, we're not doing that. I'm waiting for the live music, but it's such a great album,
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
And you also play with Martha. Is it Martha hardcore or is
Yes.
it Martha? Yeah.
It's of hardcore. It's like Afro Cuban Brazilian rhythms. It was the first project that I got involved with that had layers of progressive drumming that like it integrated into hardcore. Flora, who's the lead singer, she's a bass player, and she's amazing. I mean, she wanted me to play in her band. And this is what happens a lot. I get requests like in bands or join bands. And I remember she came up to me like about 3 years ago. She play different bands, and she saw me play better, which is Honey Charles group. And
you know what, Ramsey, your audio, Christian, do you hear his audio just now?
Yeah, I think we're having some connectivity issues. So
yeah, because it sounded pretty cool, but it sounded like you were a robot man, intermittent.
Hold on, I know it's my.
Oh, here we go. Now you sound right.
All right. So I was saying that Flora, who's the bass player and singer of Ma'afa, she put the band together. She wanted me in the band, and she hadn't gotten any members yet. But I remember she came to the Backslider show at the I forgot the club. It's Bowery Electric.
Okay,
she saw
Bowery
me play
Electric.
with Honey Child Coleman. Yeah, she showed me play with Honey Child Coleman and Anu with the group Backslider. That's Honey Child's project. And she came up to me after the show. She said, "Oh my God, you guys are amazing!" Because we did Nirvana in the Sun. And so she came up to me. She's like, "Wow, I love your drumming. I'm starting this project." Oh God, here's another request to join another band. So
it's not gonna end. Ramsey,
I know it's not gonna end.
No, it's not gonna end. You're gonna have so many. I mean, she's amazing. So I'm so happy you're playing with her. But you're gonna.
Yeah.
That's what you get for being a good drummer. You know that.
Well, the drummers are amazing, blew me out the water, but it's what I do and just the type of person I am. That's why I get called. That's why people I'm easy to work with, and there's never any egos.
No.
Never any egos. And I love music. I love music, and I love creating with people that I love. And that's how I get the gigs.
Well, now you have Jason, myself, Christian asking you to. Christian doesn't have a band. He wants you at his wedding.
I do now.
Yeah,
what are you talking about?
Now we want you.
I got a disco band that would be perfect.
Woo, we got a disco band. I'm down.
And then if anything, we can probably play some punk.
Yeah.
Because we play everything.
This is perfect.
Oh, I gotta tell you guys one thing. I did an album of all Hindi music.
What?
With
all Hindi music?
Yes, yeah, Hindi. The artist's name is Falu. Falu. If you go on
YouTube,
Falu. Yes, type in Falu and Fox.
Falu.
And we on Fox, which they will go on Fox, and you'll see me performing with broadcast of a song. I got the name of the song, but you'll see it on the YouTube.
Awesome.
Cool. We'll find it.
I did an
album. Check that
out.
out. I will check that out.
That's why
I'm gonna listen to it after. Everything. You do. That's the thing. That's the genius of Ramsey. Now he can play Hindi music. So
yes,
I'm gonna. We got so much we got to talk to you. I got to talk to you privately about. without Christian around.
Yes.
Shanali, I'm privy to this music information.
But
I want to
love
stay on the
that.
bandwagon.
We need to discuss Hindi music, and I have some stuff to share and see what you know, and I'd love to hear that. I know we are still having a little bit of sound issues.
Yeah.
But we just, you know what? The time this is the end of freaking 2020. We're bringing it to a close with people that inspire us, that, you know, really blow us away. You're one of them, Ramsey.
Yeah, Ramsey,
Oh,
thank you so
thank
much
you.
for spending some time with Shanali and myself, for
you're in
sharing
the
your
studio.
joy, for sharing your history, for sharing yourself, your style. Thank you, my friend.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on the show.
Thank you so much. And we'll share this with the world. I'll share it with you. And we'll share all your projects too. So everybody needs to, you know, Ramsey on IG is Satellite Jones. And then
Satellite Jones 65.
Yeah, 65. Because he's proud. Man,
Yes.
it's very impressive. Satellite Jones 65. So you should follow him. You'll find out more about his projects and just what he does and who he is. He's got stories about, I remember didn't you meet Robert Plant? Was it Robert Plant that came into?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
See,
I got to tell you the story.
That was like, I told my husband that story. We'll discuss that again when you come back.
Yes.
We'll
yes.
have
We'll do a part 2. Do a part 2 show.
We definitely got a part 2. We've only covered one bicep. We got to do this bicep. Okay.
We got 2.
Yes.
Thank you, Ramsey.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Christian.
Have a happy
New
New
Year.
Wish you and your family the best.
Yeah. Have a great New Year.
Thank you. To you both also. Have a great, wonderful New Year, because this year sucked.
Amen to that.
2020. Man, get that shit out of here. We got to get it off.
Yes.
Go away 2020. So we're bringing it on 2021. Thank you for being with us. All right. Have a good night.
Thank you for having me.
Bye.
Peace, guys. Good night.
Bye.
Love, peace and love, and hair grease.
Peace and love.
Love it. Right on.
All right.
So
what a way to end the show, the year,
man,
everything.
This was you know what? It's a test. It really, this show was so inspiring in so many ways, and we made it with all these technical issues. Some force called 2020 was trying to keep us down, but we managed to make it. And I thank you, Christian, for that. And Jason
I commend your perseverance.
Justin,
thank you, Jason. Thank you, Justin.
And Ramsey Jones, who was amazing, and Shams DaBaron, which is also the homeless hero.
The homeless hero.
You
insightful. Yep.
I'm
Thank
just,
both
you know,
of them, our guests.
Our guests, you. I think I'm like in shock that we are going to end 2020 coming up. It's almost out of here. We're gonna, you know, let you all of you, thank you again for being with us this past year. We did one show every month, be it virtually, 2 shows live. The only month we missed was November, but actually November we did an election show. So we've done a show every month this pandemic year. It did not stop us.
High five, Shanali. High five.
High five. And we're gonna take you guys out.
Thank you, Shanali, Christian. Thank you, guests.
Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Jason. Jason, oh, you did a wonderful. He's so cute. Look at that adorable little thing.
I learned a lesson tonight.
What's
that?
With all the complaining that I was complaining about my flex spending account, it puts perspective when you have the homeless hero, and he's like suffering and he's helping people.
Yeah.
And I'm worried about how I didn't get sick, and I didn't spend my flex spending account money.
Right.
It's so stupid.
Exactly. It's perspective.
I would like to commend like the homeless hero for all the help that he's helping other people, and everyone else that are trying to be safe. And it's so stupid that I'm worried about
your flex spending account.
My flex spending account.
You know what? That's a beautiful statement, Jason. I think it's really helpful. People get more perspective about their own lives and what they're, whining about when there's real suffering going on. But it's also, we're human. It's been hard. It's been a hard time.
We are.
But yeah, I think Shams really helps put everything in perspective. It's true. And both Ramsey and Shams, had COVID and made it through that, and that's amazing. But I was going to say, let's share a video on our outro.
Yes.
We'll say thank you to everybody. We have this is something that did lift my spirits this year, and it's a holiday video from our friend Jesse Blockton and his brother. We call them the Blockton brothers, and they are so creative. They make funny videos. Jesse is an amazing songwriter, one of my favorites. I'm glad he's coming back to give us these gifts throughout the pandemic. He's been sharing lots of his songs, and this is one called COVID Christmas. And you guys enjoy it. Good night, and happy holidays and happy New Year.
Good night. Thank you.
Night.
Zoom, 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 it's a COVID Christmas. Zoom, 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 wish you could be here. Zoom, 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 it's a COVID Christmas around the world this year. The airports are empty and the stores are all closed, and Santa's in lockdown 'cause an elf was exposed. Turn on the computer and now grandma just froze. This year it's just the way it goes. Zoom, 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 it's a COVID Christmas. Zoom, 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 wish you could be here. Zoom, 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 it's a COVID Christmas around the world this year. We'll sing Christmas carols with our virtual guests while binging on Netflix in our quarantine sweats, and see how much vodka that one man can ingest. This Christmas might just be the best. But I miss you, and I can't wait to kiss you and have you back in my home. I guess that human's fine, but it's just such a crime. We haven't had a hug in so long. Zoom, 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 it's a COVID Christmas. Zoom, 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 wish you could be here. Zoom, 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 it's a COVID Christmas around the world this year. Zoom, New York, it's a COVID Christmas. LA, Wall Street, Pittsburgh, PA, Shelter Island and Leonia and Jay, Williamsburg to the Frisco Bay. Shout out Large Pond, Stanford, CT, from Philadelphia to SLC, Austin, Texas, NLIC, Queens, Hastings, don't forget Fort Greene, Bonnie, France, Wellesley, Mass, Manila, Philly, Le Cabo, Paris. Wash your hands and watch your ass. Drink outside and wear a mask. It's a COVID Christmas. It's a COVID Christmas this year.
Oh, that was amazing. That was amazing.
Woo! I love it, you
that
guys.
Really got me in the mood.
I love that song. Zoom, zoom, zoom. It's a COVID Christmas. Jason,
Yeah.
we love you. Christian, I love you.
Love
Happy
you guys.
New Year. I can't wait till we start 2021 together. And
Be soon. It's gonna be soon.
Jason,
Okay, Jason, play nice, please. Leave us
so
with
scary.
a friendly face. Thank you. I have to sleep soon.
All right.
That's much better. I hope I see you in my
Good
dreams.
night, you guys.
I love you guys. Good night.